Today we are looking at the fourth story in my collection, The Crumbling of a Nation and Other Stories, called It Was Just Another Day in America. I wrote this story the day after the horrible shooting that happened at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. It is probably the only story I've ever written where I was literally crying while writing it. And the reason I felt so compelled to write it was because when I read the news of what had happened, for a moment I felt nothing. It genuinely felt like just another event. Like it was just another day. Like, of course there was another shooting here in America. And it was that feeling of normalcy that really shattered me. Because these are events that should feel monumental. Moments that should wreck the nation. Moments that we should never forget. Moments that change the way that we behave as a society. And yet, it was just another day. And so when I wrote this story, it was those emotions that I wanted to capture. The emotions of mothers saying goodbye to their children, not knowing if they would make it home. The emotions children experience at school, knowing that something like this might happen. And the emotion of it just being another day. Here is a sneak peek of the story. It was just another day in America when Jasper's mother woke him up for school. As his mother walked into the door, she held in her hand a thick leaden vest. She knelt down before him and asked, "Do you remember the combination to your bunker?" He held his arms up as his mother slid the vest over his head and nodded. "What is it?" she asked, buckling the vest across his chest as she did. 17, 24, 8, 19, 22. "And what do you do when you get inside?" "I don't say a word." "That's right. You don't say a word." The bus pulled up outside. His mother kissed him again on the cheek and pushed him out the door, toward the bus. She watched him as he went, praying she would get to see him again. On the bus, every kid wore a vest similar to his, as did the bus driver. On the dashboard, hidden behind a thin layer of glass, was an emergency gun. That gun was loaded at all times. The school day began as it always did, with students being ordered to stand by an omnipresent voice over the loudspeaker. "Everybody stand," demanded that voice. "Place your hand over your heart," the voice said next. "Ready? And begin." Together, in one voice, the entirety of the school pledged their eternal allegiance to the United States of America, the country of the free and the brave, the country that God watched over endlessly. Only after they had all finished their pledge were their school lessons allowed to begin. During recess, the playground was surrounded by police officers and soldiers. They kept their backs to the children and their eyes straight ahead. They held their guns at the ready, knowing there would be no time to waste should an intruder enter school grounds. The nation had lost too many children already. But Jasper and Brian hardly noticed the officers, the soldiers, the guns, the helicopters overhead, the towers, or anything else intended to keep them safe. They cared only about the four-square court they sprinted to. If you would like to hear the rest of this story or any stories like it, my book, The Crumbling of a Nation and Other Stories, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, the TikTok Shop, and Audible.